here to talk to you about a very important topic if you're interested in art or your own creativity. And it's something that I've heard for many years from probably hundreds of different people. When people find out that I teach drawing for a living, usually what follows is somebody saying, I can't draw to save my life, or I couldn't draw a stick figure to save my life. So the hundreds of thousands of people out there who you might be one of them, who think, I can't draw. So I'm here to talk to you about why you think you can't draw, and really why you really can draw. It's just, it hasn't worked out for you yet. So let's take a look at some different things that might be influencing you. So most people, it seems like, fall into two different camps. The I loved drawing when I was little but stopped, or I can't draw to save my life. And I think of these two types of people like they're the flip side of the same coin. The two different aspects of what I call the myth of talent. On one side, there's the I love drawing folks. There are some people who are more inclined to pay attention to visuals. They study things with their eyes from an early age. Maybe they're a little bit more introverted, and so they aren't participating verbally when they're younger, but they're studying things visually when they're being quiet. And those types of people, when they were younger, tended to find drawing or painting playful from an early age, and they were just more inclined to spend time doing it. So here's an example. This is a picture of me in preschool painting. So I was like 3 or 4, and I mean, I look like I'm so serious because I was just concentrating really hard. So that was me when I was little. Like, I fell into the camp of like, I just find this fun and enjoyable, and I'm gonna spend hours with my paint or drawing. I was just always into it. I don't know why. I felt the same way about cooking. I just wanted to get in there and mix ingredients because to me it was super fun. I went to a Montessori kindergarten and we got to pick our activities every day, and I literally got in trouble because every day all I did was pick the drawing table. I don't know why, but I loved it. So I remember one day I was told not to pick the drawing table that way, and I forgot and picked it anyway. And then when I remembered, I felt really upset because I had broken the rules. So there were these little books of paper that they had made that they sandwiched between scraps of wallpaper as the book cover, and I just adored picking a new wallpaper cover each day and drawing for the hours that I was in kindergarten. It was like a half-day kindergarten. And so I think of it like whatever talent I might have had with drawing was really just obsessive, repetitive practice. Over time, I practiced more, so that equaled more looking, more studying, more trial and error, and therefore more growth. So yes, I might have had that initial spark that inclined me towards doing more drawing, but the results that I saw probably came from more exposure to the practice. There are a few rare students that I've met who seem to be just a fully formed adult without much exposure to art or drawing, who are just good at it by some miracle, and like there's a rare talented person. But I think they're super rare, and they are not the people that are filling art schools each year. I can think of maybe one of those that I've met over the course of my 20 years of teaching. So the flip side of the coin, the people that aren't in the obsessed with drawing camp, they're the people who you guys probably drew when you were little, because I think it's just human nature. Almost all cultures and kids in different cultures draw when they're little. And you probably drew up until the point of about the age of 7, 8, or 9. And what happens then is there's a key developmental change in your brain that happens around the age of 8, where you start to see perspective, so that there's depth to the world, and you're drawing on a flat page where you can show the width and the height, but it's hard to show the depth. And so usually that's a moment where the things that you're drawing don't look right. I had one student who said, I remember that moment. I used to draw people like the body was just a blob, And then all of a sudden I realized this guy that I'm looking at and that I'm drawing has pants and a belt, and I have no idea where to put the pants and the belt when I'm just drawing a blob for the body. So there's this developmental milestone that you hit where you start to see that the symbols of things that you were drawing on the page no longer accurately represent the object that you're actually looking at. And that's when most of my students have stopped drawing. And the reason for that is that nobody is there to teach you what to do. And if you are a little bit more sensitive to making mistakes and having things look really bad, or you just can't figure out what to do to make those things look more accurate, then that's when most people are going to stop. So I can tell you that most of my adult students who come to me for drawing lessons, they have not really picked up a pencil since maybe the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like that's usually the last time, unless they were lucky enough to have a high school art class or a drafting class in college. Like if they were studying engineering, sometimes there's drafting. But the majority of my adult students have not really drawn at all since they hit that developmental milestone and they realized that none of the adults around them knew how to draw and no one was going to teach them anything. So this is a huge flaw in our educational system. And we don't teach any other subject like this. I always say, like, we don't have some student who's like, John is super talented. He figured out math on his own. Like, we didn't teach him anything but the numbers, but then he figured out that he could add them and he could subtract them and he could multiply, and he divined long division. Like, we don't have that in other subjects. We don't have students that are like somehow talented because they figured out that there were letters that formed words that then formed sentences and sentence structure. No, like, you're taught those fundamental steps step by step throughout your education in your early years. Drawing is not taught like that. Even if you have an art class in school, it's not usually teaching you drawing or how to draw or how to even see, to think like an artist who draws things that are realistic. How do they see things? So it's not on you that somehow you alone cannot draw. It is that it is not a taught subject in our culture. So that's why I started my YouTube channel. And that's why I have my lengthier course that's on my website, LZM Studio, because I'm a big believer that anybody can draw if they have the right tools, if they are given the right instruction in the right order, if they practice these things. So I'm not saying that it's like going to be gifted upon you and you're going to be able to just watch my videos and become an amazing artist. No, you still have to put in the work. Like, you have to actually practice the skills, but you're not alone. There's not something wrong with you that you can't draw. It's that you didn't figure it out on your own. You weren't one of those people that was like obsessed with it and didn't care if you made things that looked bad. And I can tell you that even my students that are obsessed with drawing, they usually come to me between the ages of 8 and 12, and they draw all the time, like any spare moment that they have. But I can tell you that my 10-year-olds look at their drawings from when they were 8 and they call them cringy. So they, like, look back at what they had done and they see the growth that they've had, but rather than focusing on the growth, they focus on how embarrassing these old drawings were. So even if you are able to teach yourself, usually the growth and learning is incremental. And so there is some embarrassment about, oh my gosh, this is a record on the page of everything that I did wrong, that now I can see what I did wrong. So there's just a lot of human nature to this. And I want you to know that if you do want to learn to draw, you can learn to draw. You just need a good teacher. So if you're interested in joining me using my LZM method, I've got the online course that you can access at any time. And in 2023, I'm also going to start new live cohorts. So you have community, you have some deadlines, you have some support, you have encouragement to go through the work and the program with other peers that are also working at it step by step in the same way that you are. So I hope that this now leaves you with the thought that maybe you could in fact draw if you want to, if someone taught you.